This is CBC Vancouver News.
And then by the time our firefighters were able to get in there, the wind had whipped this up into a fire that they weren't able to handle.
An out-of-control wildfire near Fort Nelson has prompted the evacuation of thousands of people. The town's mayor says high winds are making it harder to fight the flames. And
we have reason to believe that the attack was a state or state-sponsored actor who was involved in these cyber attacks.
the BC government says another country could have been trying to breach provincial government systems. What officials are doing to protect information. Plus,
Bouchard moving in. Different scores! Went off a Canucks stick!
a tough loss for the Vancouver Canucks as the Oilers even the series with an overtime win. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. We begin with developing news out of the northeastern BC. A wildfire is burning out of control near Fort Nelson. It's prompting an evacuation of the entire town and everyone from the Fort Nelson First Nation. The CBC's Andrew Curiata is in Prince George with the latest.
More than 3,000 people, the entire population of Fort Nelson and the Fort Nelson First Nation, were told to leave shortly after 7:30.
And then by the time our firefighters were able to get in there, the wind had whipped this up into a fire that they weren't able to handle.
We were told at last count that it was about 12 kilometers away, and winds were gusting up to 60 kilometers an hour. Now, people are being told to go to Fort St. John. That is about a 4 hours drive away, where there is a reception center set up.
We've asked people to evacuate the community to the south. Anybody who has an RV can take their RV and go to a location that they feel comfortable with.
People in Fort St. John say there will be hotel rooms for everybody who need a place to stay. And there is evacuation help being given to those who are not able to drive themselves. This is going to be a long drive. Again, I said it is 4 hours. This is a single lane highway. The highway is closed north of Fort Nelson because of that wildfire. And we are still waiting for updates on when people will be able to return. For now, though, crews just working to prevent that fire from advancing further towards homes and buildings in Fort Nelson. Andrew Curiata, CBC News, Prince George.
If you need evacuation assistance, you can call 250-775-0933. A reminder, an evacuation order means you must leave immediately with an emergency to-go bag until the order is rescinded. Again, residents are being directed to evacuate to the south. A reception center is set up at the North Peace Arena in Fort St. John. As well, the Yukon government says internet and telephones may be down due to the fire and a storm that is passing through. Residents needing to report an emergency are being told to go to the nearest RCMP station, healthcare center, or hospital. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spent part of the day in Colona to talk about supports for communities during BC's wildfire season.
People are worried about what the summer might bring. People are worried what the future might hold for themselves, for next generations.
The Prime Minister announced Ottawa will double the volunteer firefighter tax credit and provide $800,000 to train wildland firefighters. He also says his government would provide $175 million to Indigenous communities to fund emergency preparedness and response programs. An overnight fire has destroyed a historic church, an old home, and a home in the southern BC community of Greenwood. The blaze broke out around 2:30 in the morning. No one was hurt, and crews stopped it from spreading to other nearby homes. But the damage is massive. The church was the second oldest in Greenwood. St. Jude's Anglican dates back to 1901. 3 homes also suffered heat damage, but they were saved after a brief evacuation.
Within 15 minutes, I realized it's time for us to get out. So grabbed a few pictures, grabbed my passports, got the cat, got my son, and banged on a few doors to make sure everybody was aware of what was going on. My first instinct was to get a hose, because you can see Amber sitting the top of my roof. And then I realized, no, it ain't worth this. So we just, hightailed her down to the coffee shop.
Jepson says the community has rallied together to support one another. It's not clear yet what caused the fire. A tough night for the Vancouver Canucks as they lost in overtime against the Edmonton Oilers 4-3.
Here's Draisaitl back. Bouchard moving in. Infant scores!
Evan Bouchard's goal at 5:36 of overtime lifted the visiting Edmonton Oilers to tie their best-of-7 second-round NHL playoff series at 1-1. Bouchard's shot from near the boards deflected in off the stick blade of Canucks defenseman Ian Cole and banked in for the winner. Game 3 is set for Sunday in Edmonton.
I'm really disappointed, honestly. My heart was just it honestly sunk out of my chest.
It was a tough game. We'll come back. Next game, Sunday. Canucks, go Canucks, go. These two.
We played really good, just at overtime. We just lost one.
The head of BC's Public Service says a state or state-sponsored actor was behind 3 recent cyber attacks on government systems. Michelle Gassoub has the latest.
The province is being very careful with the words it's using to describe this attempted breach, but their conclusion that a foreign state or state-sponsored actor is likely behind this is the fact there was some kind of attempt to hide the attack. Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth addressed this today.
The only kind of level of being able to do what they were seeing and covering up the tracks is the hallmarks of a state actor or a state-sponsored actor.
We also learned more about the timeline of events today and 3 separate attempts to breach security. This was first investigated a month ago on April 10th. A second attempted breach was detected on the 29th. At that point, public servants were told to change their passwords. Then a third attempt, May 6th, just 4 days ago. And it was that attempt earlier this week that led investigators to believe the attacker was trying to cover their tracks. Of course, the number one question, which state might be behind this? Farnworth said he himself does not know at this time. Now, a second big question here, was personal data compromised by this attempted breach? Right now, the province says there is no evidence to suggest sensitive data was threatened. Finally, there is the question of motivation. We know this was not a ransomware attack. There have been no demands of money from the attacker. So if not money, why would a state actor want to access the BC government's data? That is unanswered at this time. The province says they will be as transparent as they can be going forward. There will be a full review of just what happened here at some point. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
BC's Minister of Finance is calling it a career in provincial politics. Katrina Conroy says she won't be running again in the fall election. Conroy will retire after nearly 2 decades representing the West Kootenays. She's held various roles, including Minister of Children and Family Development and Minister of Forests. Conroy thanks her family for their support throughout her career and says she looks forward to spending more time with them once she's left office. A 26-year-old woman has been charged with assault after police say she tried to snatch a baby from his mother on Commercial Drive yesterday afternoon. Police say a woman was breastfeeding the 4-month-old in her parked car when a stranger opened the door and climbed inside. Investigators say the suspect tried grabbing the baby and the mother before others stepped in.
We commend the bystanders for intervening and holding this person down, so we were able to get there quickly, make an arrest, and before this person hurt anybody else.
The mother in the car was left with minor injuries. The baby was not hurt. The suspect remains in custody until her next court appearance. Eyes around the world are skyward tonight to see colorful northern lights caused by a severe solar storm. Tonight is special because even places like southern Canada will likely see the lights. Lindsay Duncombe shows us what's behind the rare phenomenon.
From the rooftop of his Vancouver townhouse, Robert Lyons is getting ready to photograph weather from out of this world.
I'm hoping a massive swath of green over the city skyline, and hopefully it'll dance. You can see the actual photons moving in a pattern, and it's just spectacular when it happens.
Already, European sky watchers have captured the rare phenomenon, northern lights far further south than usual. Here's why it's happening. Large solar flares on the surface of the sun, eruptions of plasma, sending millions of tons of charged particles towards our atmosphere.
Multiple, as many as 5 over the last couple of days, that have all subsequently been directed at Earth. Having something where we have this number in rapid succession is pretty unique and exciting for us.
Like hurricanes, geomagnetic storms are rated on a scale of 1 to 5. This one could be a 5. All that magnetic energy in the atmosphere could damage power grids.
Getting to work in Montreal this morning was an exercise in frustration. The lights were out everywhere.
That's what happened in 1989 when a space storm created a 9-hour blackout in Quebec. Worst case scenario, satellites could be vulnerable too.
When there's these big magnetic storms, there are a lot of high energy electrons and protons flying around in space, and they're going so fast they can go through the skin of the spacecraft into the electronics inside.
So the head of Canada's Space Weather Group will be part of a team monitoring the storm, sharing data with industry. They'll be up all night.
Over the North Shore Mountains, northern lights are raging.
So will Robert Lyons.
So this is a reminder that there are big, magical, sort of mysterious things in the universe happening, and this puts us in touch with it.
A rooftop connection to the beauty and the danger of space. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
A new pedestrian and cycling overpass in North Vancouver has been given the go-ahead. The bridge will connect the Lutete and Cedar Village neighborhoods and runs over the area of Highway 1 known as The Cut. It's intended to improve safety and connectivity.
The Casano-Lutete overpass is a great symbol of some of the things that matter most to the people of North Vancouver: accessibility, inclusivity, and getting outside and enjoying the great outdoors.
The long-awaited overpass will also give many local students a safer route to school. Public consultation began in 2017 with people saying Highway 1 could be a barrier to traveling between neighborhoods, pushing them to take more vehicle trips rather than a quick walk or ride. The bridge is set to break ground early next year after the province gave the city of North Vancouver $4 million. A Colona man says the spruce tree in his front yard got more than just a trim when a Fortis BC crew came by unannounced. The homeowner says his giant conifer is now a mangled mess, but as Brady Strachan reports, the utility company says it's only worried about safety, not aesthetics.
This is the site Julio De Palma came home to after work about a month ago, and just looking at the trim job a Fortis BC crew did to his spruce tree, it's no wonder he's upset with how it looks.
They basically cut the one side of this tree.
De Palma says the crew not only topped the tree, it cut down all the branches on the street-facing side, leaving it as a mangled eyesore to anyone walking by.
I can't put up with a tree that looks like this, honestly. You know, the laughingstock of Barclay Road.
The thing that bothers De Palma the most, however, is that the utility company didn't notify him that it was going to trim his tree.
Why wouldn't somebody notify me? At least that way I could have my own arborist go in and do the trimming that I wanted.
A spokesperson for Fortis BC admits the company did not contact De Palma before it sent a crew over to trim his tree. He says the company only contacts homeowners in a case where a tree needs to be taken down for safety reasons. As for the way it looks now, the company says that's not its concern.
Trees that are growing too close to power lines can pose a significant threat to our communities. We're not there to trim for aesthetic reasons. We're there to keep the community safe.
De Palma says he spent the past month trying to reach a resolution with the company to no avail.
You know, I basically now look at it and go, I don't want that tree there anymore. It's an eyesore for the neighborhood. It's an eyesore for us. And, you know, I want it out.
De Palma wants Fortis to come back, remove the tree, and plant a new one. The company says that's not something it's prepared to do, no matter how the tree looks. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Colona.
They're called the Dirty Dozen, the most found waste that washes up on our beaches. But this year's list is notable for what isn't on it. We're talking about straws coming up next. Well, if you see plastic pollution in and around the water near you,
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond. Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Karis Hogg joins us now with a look at our weather. And before we do that, Karis, you're going to remind us a little bit about the fire danger in the province at this moment.
That's right. Yeah, well, Fort Nelson is right in the northeast corner of the province, and you can see that the fire danger rating from the BC Wildfire Service is high or extreme in this entire corner, and that's where a wildfire out of control is burning. And it's this high pressure ridge that we've been sitting under for the last day or so. It's been bringing in very dry and unseasonably warm conditions, and so you can see that there is a lot of fire danger in the province right now. Temperatures are continuing to be warm. Today was a warm one, 31 in Kamloops, 25 in Prince George and Williams Lake. And those warm temperatures are going to continue through to tomorrow. 30 in Kamloops, 30 in Osoyoos and Castlegar, 27 in Abbotsford, 23 in Victoria. Sunday, some temperatures other than the south central part of the province are going to start to come down a bit as that high pressure ridge starts to break down. But as I mentioned, the south central part of the province still remains very warm, 30 in Kamloops and Osoyoos and Colona. It's not until Monday that we really see a significant dip in the temperatures. Past 6 hours for the south coast here, a very dry and warm one. It felt very summery. Now we've got kind of an interesting thing. There's a solar storm that could be coming and reaching Earth in the next couple of days. Now the interesting thing about this solar storm is that it means the likelihood of seeing aurora borealis or northern lights stretching right down to the bottom of our country, even touching the northern United States. So taking a look at the 5-day forecast, we got a warm one for tomorrow, Saturday 19 with humidex of 29 inland.
Well, that's very exciting stuff. Warm weather, but also some very important reminders for those impacted by those wildfire zones. Thank you so much, Karis. From sisters to aunts to grandmas and even volleyball coaches. With Mother's Day around the corner, we hit the street to find out who else fills that mother role. Here's what people had to say.
I'm just talking to people about mother figures.
Mother figures?
Yeah, like, do you have someone in your life who is a mother figure?
I would say my aunt.
I guess like the closest thing for me would be my grandma.
Both of my sisters.
I'd say my girlfriend, if that's anything at all, yeah.
Our volleyball coaches probably, yeah. I think that your mom could be anybody who is that figure in your life. A lot of people don't have. I do have a mom figure and I love her and she's that person too, but it doesn't have to be your genetic or adoptive mom. You can have a mother figure who is anybody who just fulfills that role.
A future mother right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Since the end of February, there's twins and it's been a complicated pregnancy. And we've been at 3 different hospitals with the nurses and all the help from obviously doctors too, but with the nurses, they've been the ones that are a little more closer with us and see them more and taking more care of us and whatnot for all the different nights we've had to spend in hospitals and whatnot. So they're like a second mom to us currently when our moms are not in the province.
I recently just broke my arm and she has been acting like a mother to me for sure. Just making food, making sure I'm comfortable at home. And
she's taken care of me a few times when I was sick when I was younger and things like that. So she's just always looked out for me, always really easy to talk to.
And even now I still go to them for advice and yeah, we're really close. Yeah.
I don't know, we tell them everything.
Yeah.
They just help us out.
Yeah.
I think it means a lot to have someone who supports you and cheers you on, and whenever you have, a question or need life advice, they're there for you.
Anything else you'd like to add?
We love our moms too. Yeah, we love our moms.
We love our moms.
That is your late news for Friday, May 10th. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. To keep up to date with the latest news and wildfire situation, head to our website at cbc.ca/BC. Hope you have a great night. Stay safe, everyone.